from a law-based point of view. Words spin off, and those words spin off, and those words spin off, and that's why we are much more interested in you becoming feeling beings than speaking and thinking what you're feeling. In other words, we want you to be aware of your relationship with who you really are through the emotions that you feel, and then do your best to describe it. Words are really not what it's all about. Surprising that we offer so many. But the advantage of words is that words help us to come to aligned points of conversation. And by focusing, because of the use of words, we are often able to take new concepts into places that they have not been before. And so we don't want you, and we certainly don't want to get hung up on any specific word. There are lots of different ways to define who you really are. When we call you source in your body, we don't know how the word ego fits or doesn't fit, but we still call you source in your body. When we say sometimes you're allowing the fullness of that source and sometimes you're pinching some of it off, we don't know if a label is necessary, but sometimes you are allowing more of yourself and sometimes you're pinching some of it off. And your emotions let you know how you're doing. And we don't think there is a word that can define that connection. We think that your emotions, which are the indicator of your allowance or resistance, are a really fluid and moving thing. Good. And there are many teachers who have run that gamut, who have come into alignment with who they are, who are now trying to give you the shortcut version to it. And they're trying to explain to you that if you just let go of that stuff that ultimately you really don't need, and ultimately you really don't want, that your life would go better. And we say, nobody gets to decide what you need or want. There is nothing that is not spiritual about everything that is material. You are extensions of source energy, and the manifestations that you produce that are the evidence of your alignment, they are spiritual in nature. There is nothing more spiritual than the allowance of well-being to manifest in whatever way you choose it. There.
It's beautiful.
Enough? Something more?
Just one more quick thought. The recent push toward leaps, quantum leaps, that kind of change, it came up today, and I noticed in the past I've heard a recording of you sharing that it's very uncomfortable to work toward that, and a step-by-step approach is...
Well, you see, here, let's talk about this from a law-based point of view. So we've already acknowledged that in every case, you're more than you are consistently allowing yourself to be. Everyone is. And to varying degrees, you allow yourself to catch up with it. So those who are mostly happy are allowing their catching up more. Those who are mostly unhappy are not allowing it. So everyone's expanded and continuing to expand, and it is a lifelong quest to stay up to speed with who you have become. If you know what you don't want, so you know what you do want, and you don't do anything about coming up, and so then both by law of attraction get bigger, so now you really know what you don't want, so you really know what you do want. Eventually, you can get quite a spread between where you usually hang out vibrationally and who you really are. Now, we said earlier that every thought that you think is vibrational in nature. And all a belief is a thought that you continue to think. It's a practiced thought. What alignment is practicing the thought of who you really are, and practicing it until it's easy to hold it. As Jerry often holds up the beautiful cards, there are several decks of them, not just Abraham cards. Many of them are available. But once you're in the vortex, if you were to sit and just read through something that is source-based in nature, and just hold yourself in the vibrational patterning of what the source within you knows, the more you do that, the more you practice the vibration of alignment. And the more you practice the vibration of alignment, then the more off it feels anytime you step out of it. Well, most people are really doing the opposite of that. Instead of getting in the vortex and affirming from inside the vortex, there is a lot more affirming of what I don't want from outside the vortex. So in the same way that we want you to practice vibrations of alignment, without meaning to, a lot of people are practicing vibrations of misalignment. You with us so far? So when you give your attention to something, it activates the thought within you. And as you give more attention to it, that thought, which was a vibration, becomes a dominant vibration or a chronic vibration. And when something becomes a chronic vibration, it becomes a point of attraction. And so once something becomes a point of attraction, now it starts actualizing in your life, which makes you believe it more. In other words, you thought it, then it manifests, now you really believe it. So what happens is a lot of people now have a lot of beliefs that are what we call flawed premises. They don't jive with the laws of the universe. In other words, who you are is worthy, and when you believe otherwise, that's a flawed premise. Who you really are is a magnificent creator, and when you believe otherwise, that's a flawed premise. So then, as we visit with you, and we are able to help you see the flawed premises, sometimes in the releasing of something that you believed for a long time, by looking at it, in other words, if we can call you into the vortex, as has happened to many of you here today, if we can call you into the vortex and speak from the depths of who you are, what you really know, and we can hold you there long enough that you find resonance with it, sometimes those flawed premises can move quickly. And that's that quantum leap that many are talking about. But usually, it's a removing of a flawed premise. In other words, there are a lot of flawed premises. Just in this one book, we uncovered 22 of them, flawed premises that are keeping you from really being who you really are, you see. And we don't think it's likely that in one fell swoop, you're going to release all flawed premises that you've been picking up along your physical trail for a long period of time. And we don't think it's necessary anyway, you see. And it's so much more fun to come into alignment and come into alignment and come into alignment. Do you really want to eat all your meals today, or do you want to enjoy them one at a time as they come along? Yes. Do you really want to stand out on your porch today and breathe in all the air that you will want for this lifetime today? Or do you want to just take it one breath at a time? Do you really want to have every conversation with every lovely person today? Or do you just want to take life as it comes, you see? Yes. And we just don't think that you need to think in terms of quantum leaping, and we don't think that you could do it anyway, because you will never be able to catch up with who you are and hold it for any really long, sustained period of time, because you're expanding, expanding, expanding. We don't want the goal to quantum leap into who you are and then hold on for dear life. We want you to be fluid and flexible and understand that you're always evolving. The goal isn't to get there and be done. The goal is to enjoy the journey. Yeah. So that's the way it's all set up. You said, I'll go forth, I'll stir up more, I'll put more in the vortex, I'll line up with it, and I'll become it. And once I'm in alignment with it and it manifests, now I have a new platform with a new set of contrasting experiences that launches me further still. So it is only someone who thinks that the goal is to get it done that's trying to get you to jump over there into that finished place. The goal is never to get it done. The goal is to keep it moving, keep it moving. That's why you come back. Doesn't it seem illogical to you when you think about it? If source is pure positive energy, and the resistance is only here in this physical experience, doesn't it seem illogical when you think, well, why would I come back? Why wouldn't I just remain there? And that's why you come up with all those other bogus, flawed premises that you are here to prove more worthiness. And we say, you could not be more worthy. You could not be more worthy. You don't come to fix things that are broken or to become more worthy. You come for the fun of expansion and for the thrill of getting up to speed again, and for the thrill of contrast and launching more, and the thrill of... Don't you know that? When you go on vacation, you have this list of places you're going. You're at home, and you're going to go there and 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 there, and you're going to end up back home, and nobody looks at it and says, oh, wait, my final destination is home, and I'm already there. Why go? think I'll just check vacation off my list. Because you don't go on the vacation to get it done. You go for the fun, for the opportunity, for the new ideas, for the new things to see, for the new opportunities, for the new interactions, for the new expansion. You go for the thrill of the journey, you see. And that's why you've come here. And so, quantum leap if you want. Quantum leap if you can. And we will acknowledge that it's possible to focus long enough, with enough sincerity, with someone who can help you over a flawed premise, that you can have a big leap. But we will never agree it's the only leap.
Thank you. Thank you.
You knew you were chosen before the point even reached you.
Yes. I thought you would pick me. Thank you. I have two questions. Number one is about teamwork. Now, I heard a section you did about marketing that was very, very good. I want to take that one step further. Is when I am in the business world, normally what happens is I have a team of people go into my client, and they have a team of people, and a deal will come from two teams meet together, and eventually they agree to a deal. But my question is, I'm going to be very specific. So this deal, 4 people from my company, I'm one of them. I totally believe in the value we provide. And then we have another person from sales, another person from service, and one more person from pre-sales. And the person from pre-sales totally could not focus on the value. And he completely focused on the weakness. And we ended up disqualified. So my question is, what is my influence when I have one member of the team that's going upstream?
Well, whether you are approaching something on your own, or whether you are, and hear these carefully chosen words, whether you're approaching something on your own, or whether you're approaching something on your own as a member of a team, your alignment with what you want is the only thing that is necessary. So what happens when it feels like a weak team member brings you down is that your attention to their weakness weakened you. In other words, let's say there are 2 people, and one wants something very specific, and the other wants something quite different. But they want to do it together, but it seems that they want different things. And this one wants to win the point, and the other one wants to win the point. So what happens if this one stays true to what they want, thinks about it from the standpoint of having it, so their vibration is pure, there's no split energy, the universe will find a way to give it to them. If this one stays true to what they want, no split energy, the universe will find a way to give it to them. But what commonly happens is that this one worries about what that one's doing. So this one isn't true to what they want. And this one worries about what that one's doing. So this one isn't true to what they want. So now neither one are true to what they want, and neither one get what they want, and they blame each other. So if you could just hear us when we say, and we implied it in the first statement that we make, your partnership is with your vortex where the results that you are seeking are already achieved. And if you don't let your weak team member take you out of the vortex, then the universe has to give you, weak team member and all, what you want. But if you let that weak team member be your reason to not be in the vortex, then that weak team member seems like they took the team down, but it was only because you weren't able to focus upon what you wanted.
No, in that sense, then there really isn't a good concept of teamwork, which in corporate world it's quite.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say that then that weak team member seems like they took the team down, but it was only because you weren't able to focus upon what you wanted.
No, in that sense, then there really isn't a good concept of teamwork, which in corporate world it's quite.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say that 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, in other words, you get a team and you're all in the vortex, you're a powerful team. But it was only because you weren't able to focus upon what you wanted.
No, in that sense, then there really isn't a good concept of teamwork, which in corporate world it's quite.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say that there 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, in other words, you get a team and you're all in the vortex, you're a powerful team. In other words,
yes.
there is a synergism that comes.
Yes.
Jerry and Esther, when they are in sync with each other, are...
No, in that sense, then there really isn't a good concept of teamwork, which in corporate world it's quite.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say that there can be, because 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10, in other words, you get a team and you're all in the vortex, you're a powerful team. In other words,
yes.
there is a synergism that comes.
Yes.
Jerry and Esther, when they are in sync with each other, are much more powerful together than either one of them are singularly. It's true. It's true of all of you. So let's talk about this. Let's say that it's true. It's true of all of you. So let's talk about this. Let's say that you have an experience like this where you have identified one of your team members as causing problems. So in the contrasting experience that you lived through, you put a lot of things in your vortex. You put in your vortex stronger team members. You put in your vortex more focused team members. You put in your vortex more ability to communicate, more ability to discern the alignment of your team members. In other words, more ability to inspire your team members, more intention to segment intend so that you're all on the same wavelength before you go into your interview or meeting. In other words, you put a whole lot through that experience into your vortex. So now the question is, will you become true? Will you remain true to the version of the team that you put into the vortex, or are you going to keep beating the drum of the team that you just experienced? Mm-hmm. And if you stay true to the new and improved version of the team that has just erupted as a result of this experience, a team member up to your standards will join you, or the weak one will become strong and join you. In other words, this is the evolution of the species that we're talking about. And then next time you go in with a team who is in alignment. We really want you to hear us. In other words, when you think in terms of teams, this is one of the flawed premises that so much of your physical world has sort of built its football teams and baseball teams and basketball teams and financial teams. Always you're looking for as many strong members as you can find who are individually aligned. If you put a football team together and they are all of them or most of them in alignment with who they are, you'll have a much better success rate than if you put together a team that doesn't know anything about that. And it's interesting how in the world of sports, and often even in the world of business, there is a lot of attention that is put toward attitude and toward mood. Mm-hmm. The athletes talk about being in the zone. Yeah. But even with all of that spoken, there is so much evidence that supports how one person on any of those teams can be a catalytic spark to the others. Often it just takes one who is so in the zone, who is so tuned in consistently to who they are, that the others just cannot abide in his or her vibration unless they are up to speed with it. It is the power of the healers, all of the ancient healers, who were able to bring people from sickness to wellness, which is one of those quantum leaps that we were discussing earlier. When someone knows your wellness or knows your success or knows your ability so completely because they are viewing you from inside the vortex, as they hold you as their object of attention, if you are anywhere in the vicinity, you've got to join them in that knowing, at least for the time. The reason that we don't want anybody to depend upon somebody else holding them as object of attention is because it's unlikely that anyone will hold you eternally as their object of attention, but the source within you will, you see. Now we've strayed a little bit into a deeper basis. Do you want to bring it back to the specifics?
Well, I think your explanation is very good. I start to see how this all coming together. When there's synergy, the team's power is greater than an individual, but when there isn't a synergy, then individual's power is greater than the team.
Well stated. And let's just cap it off by saying one in alignment is all it takes to make team synergy.
Okay. Yes, that's very good. One more question. This is about appreciation, or more on the lack of it, that when I felt, and normally it's from a person that I consider a very important part of my life, for example, my parents, or one of my parents, or a lover, that when I felt a lack of appreciation from them, and I would get illness, like an infection in my throat or somewhere else. Now, does that mean, when I try to positioning why this happens, and I came to the conclusion, is it because I am actually withholding appreciation to them, therefore reflecting back to me as they are lack of appreciation to me?
Well, that is accurate, but there's something deeper that we want you to focus upon first. We said earlier, and it's something that we lovingly tease you with often when we say you're looking for love in all the wrong places. Because only when you are in alignment with who you really are do you have that full resource of source flowing through you. When someone, a physical lover or someone you care about, holds you as their object of attention, and they're in the vortex while they do it, now they're connected to source energy and they're flooding it all over you. But then if they get distracted, if something else calls their attention, or if they get out of the vortex, now when they hold you as their object of attention, you're not getting resourced because they're not connected to the stream anymore. Mm-hmm. So we're encouraging you not to rely on anyone else for your connection. We want you to go straight to the vortex yourself and straight to your source. That's what we mean when we say looking for love in all the wrong places. You don't mean to do it, but your parents did it to you and you do it to others. In other words, there's a whole lot of the following going on. So someone looks at me and loves me and I like it. And then they look at me and don't love me and I don't like it. And I take it personally. So I assume that the love they were flowing was because of my behavior. And I also assume that the love that they're now not flowing is because of my behavior. And that's all flawed premise. The love that they flowed was because of their connection, and the love that they're not flowing was because of their lack of connection, and I am not important to the equation. Esther looks at these 4 grandchildren who she adores, and they are so easy to love. It's so easy to love them. But there are a lot of people not that easy to love. Mm-hmm. And sometimes Esther resents them that they're just not more lovable because she wants to love and she'd like it to be easier. Yes. And we want you to reach the point that you understand that you want to connect to the stream of love, which means you want to align with who you are. It's really an interesting thing because a lover, let's say, harasses you into expansion. They don't appreciate you, or they don't call you, or they don't remember something or whatever, and you expand and expand and expand. So they're responsible for your expansion. In fact, you put a new and improved version of them in your vortex. But there they are, right there in vivid real life. So you're looking at them and therefore not living up to your expanded version. Mm-hmm. So they're the reason you expanded, and now you're using them as the reason not to take your expansion. And that is the entire story. Every time you feel diminished because it feels like somebody else isn't loving you, it's not because they're not loving you, it's because you're using whatever they're doing as your excuse to not be in sync with that which is love. A woman said, "My boyfriend left and now I'm sad." And we said, "No, you're not." She said, "No, my boyfriend left and now I'm sad." And we said, "No, you're not." She said, "Abraham, my boyfriend was here, I wasn't sad. Then he left, now I'm sad. I'm sad because my boyfriend left." And we said, "No, you're not. You're sad because you're not in alignment with who you are, and you're using the fact that your boyfriend left as your excuse to not be in the vortex." In other words, you have the capacity to be love regardless of what anybody else is doing, and that is the best description of unconditional love that we could ever give, you see.
Yes.
So now let's take it a little further. So we were talking about Jerry and Esther's grandchildren who are really easy to love. And yet, we don't think it would be a good idea if everyone just tried to be lovable so that Esther could easily love, because they could potentially train her right out of her vortex. In other words, if you can find love easily there and love easily there and love easily there, then why ever take the time to tune to your true source? You see what we're getting at? Mm-hmm. So here is the most powerful and easiest accessible way to get into your vortex and to be the flower of the love that is naturally you. Because, and you hit on it already, we're just going to speak it more clearly. What you really want is to be one who loves, not one who is loved. Because when you're one who's loving, it's flowing through you. So just look for things to appreciate. Look for opportunities to appreciate. Just look everywhere you can for something to appreciate so that you just get in the habit of that love flowing through you. And in time, it will really become irrelevant to you, as it should be, how other people are seeing you or responding to you, because their reaction to you really doesn't have anything to do with you. People try to make you believe that because they're not in the vortex and they want to be, and so they think they need to control you, because as we just said, it's easy to love lovable things. So there's a whole lot of people running around who want to feel good, who don't, who want you to do something different so that they will feel better. But when you jump through their hoops, when you do that for them, you train them away from the only thing that will really consistently work for them. In other words, we really don't want you to feather anybody's nest. We want you to get in your own vortex or nest of creation and call them to theirs. Don't try to make it better for anyone. Just align with who you are, and through the clarity of your example, show them where the unconditional, ever-flowing fountain of love is.
Thank you.
We've enjoyed this interaction, have you? Have we convinced you of the reality, of the vibrational reality? Yes. You're closer to accepting its existence? Yes. Do you believe that you have carved it out of all that you have lived, and that it is being tended by that broader part of you? Do you accept that the emotions that you feel are your indicator about your vibrational proximity to it? Have you a renewed sense of wanting to tend to your own thought and your own vibration and your own emotion? Are you at a place where you can accept the joyful possibility of being able to more consistently view your personal world through the eyes of Source? Is it pleasing to you to think about lining up on a day-to-day basis with the fullness that is you, and then viewing your world as you have been, but from the vantage point of new eyes? Do you look forward to loving those who you have been hurting yourself by hating? Doesn't it feel good that you have control of your own comfort or lack of it by the consistency of the direction of your thought? Do you think that there are people among you who do not deserve your love? Source within you does not think so. But if you think that there are people among you who do not deserve your love, then the next best scenario is, do you think you have the ability to focus upon those who do deserve your love? In other words, we're not asking you to love what is unlovable. We're not asking you to look at horrible things and like it. We're asking you to want so much to feel good that you're more discerning about what you give your attention to. The Source within you knows that in every particle of everything and everyone is that which is wanted and lack of it. And Source within you has trained itself over experiences like the one you're living now to tune to the best of everything. You are dramatic examples of those who have come to sift through contrast in order to ask for improvement. Future generations will benefit mightily by what you have put into your vortex of creation, just as your generation is benefiting mightily by what has been put into the vortex by those generations past. There will always be improvement. Those coming in now are coming in to a better opportunity than you did when you came, and it will always be thus. Things are not getting worse. They are always getting better. You are not diminishing. You are expanding. And so when you catch the rhythm of that, when you begin to accept the inevitable well-being of that which you are, then you get to live it here and now, not just when you make your reemergence into non-physical, not just when from that pure, singular offering of vibration, absent of any contradictory thought or resistance, you get to experience it here and now. We would never ask you to stay only in the vortex, because it is not part of your reason for being here. You didn't say, I'll go forth, find a good thought, hold it incessantly, and never leave the vortex again. You said, I'll go forth and sift through the contrast and find new expansion and then line up with it. And I will have the thrill of the lining up again and again. You said, I want the adventure of expansive life. And we said, we do too, and we appreciate you for making it so. And when your life causes you to ask for something more, we will ride that rocket, and we will have our thrill in the moment of riding that rocket, and we will hold it incessantly, eternally, consistently for you, always offering the beckoning of that vibrational light for you to tune into if you should choose to do so. You cannot get it wrong, and you never get it done. And the reason you cannot get it wrong is because it is never done. And when it feels wrong, you're asking for more, and when you line up with it, the improvement comes. You could not be in a better place than right here, right now, where you have contrasts surrounding you on many different subjects at many different levels of your being. And you have active within you right now resonant knowledge of who you really are. So we are anticipating in the immediate days that follow this an avalanche of manifestations that indicate to you your shift in vibration that has taken place as a result of the conversations that we've had together here today. It is our desire that you relish each and every one of them as you are aware of them, as we will be doing. And when you shiver with delight, understand that that shivering is the resonance of us shivering within you as we celebrate together the expansion that you are carving out for all of us. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain eternally, infinitely, and with more satisfaction than words can ever define in the vortex.
Thanks, guys. It's been great being with you folks again and again. Would you say thank you to Esther one more time, please? See you downstream. Our primary intent with this work is to connect with those who are attracting this information, and Esther and I are most appreciative of the role of your intentions in this joyous co-creative experience. Also, for an immediate overview of our works and the wealth of free information available to you, visit our interactive website at www.abrahamhicks.com.